everybody. Welcome back to Author Eke. Today we have Dony J, and he is going to talk about his new books. Pleased to have him on the show. It's a weekend, so I'm glad he could take the time to show up on a Saturday, and I guess past cartoons and everything. So I'm glad you could show up. And Donnie, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your books.
Uh, Dony J. Grew up in South Central Pennsylvania. Um, Went to a local Penn State branch campus here, and then graduated from York College of Pennsylvania. Became a police officer roughly 21 years ago. And
Oh wow! Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, certainly. Um, so 17 of the last 21 have been as a detective. So everything from we're general assignments, so everything kind of
Hmm.
that comes in the door, whether it's homicide all the way to theft or child abuse, that type of thing.
Man, I don't know if
Um,
I could do child abuse. I think if I caught him, I'd want to abuse him.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
just me.
they're
That's
tough,
just me.
and it's surprising the number of cases that do come in. But so yeah, like 2010 or so, I
Hmm.
started writing basically faith-based spy thriller series.
Hmm.
And I have two of those out so far. The manuscript for number three is done, but
Hmm.
I'm just kind of holding that off. Put it on the back burner. In the meantime, I started a crime thriller series, also faith
Interesting.
based, and hoping to get that traditionally published here. So
Excellent. Excellent. So tell us about your books. I'm interested in the faith base. I think that's probably missing in the world today, and how it kind of relates to what you deal with and what you put in your books.
yeah. So obviously, I'm a Christian, so
Mhm.
writing
As I
from
am.
well, I'm glad to hear that. uh, so writing from that worldview, it's like it's who I am. So how can I not write from that
Hmm.
worldview? Um, and just in a lot of the stuff, I read a lot of different things, whether it's nonfiction or fiction. But
Hmm.
um, thought in a lot of the fiction books, that's kind of the element that's like the thing that's sort of missing from some of the dimension that's missing from some of these characters and stuff is their faith. So it's important to me. That's why I write with that. Um, so my main character in my spy thriller series is Reagan Rainey. Uh, has a background in special forces, and then does some work with the agency, the CIA. And
Hmm.
then so the first book kind of starts out where he's sort of on temporary duty assignment to the CIA, and then the second book kind of gets into more where he's essentially CIA then.
Does his faith uh, take him in the direction that he wants to go? Does he feel something, or how does his faith play into making the decisions? How's that play into your
I think it
character?
helps drive him,
Hmm.
and in a sense too, where he feels like he's always in God's hand, no matter what
Hmm.
happens.
Hmm.
Um, you know, special forces and obviously some operations with the agency.
Right.
There are things that are dangerous, and you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
That's for sure.
so that sense where no matter if he's in harm's way, there's still someone looking out for him.
Right.
and
And
and two, like if the worst would happen, he knows where he's going, so
mhm.
there's nothing. um Certainly there's danger and the sense of loss with teammates and just uh friends and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I think part of it too is you'll see in the books is
Mhm.
he relates that to his teammates and stuff, that he doesn't like shirk away from his faith. so
Right. Right.
So that's just central to who he is, and it kind of comes out in how he relates to his teammates and how he leads.
Can he, the folks that he's going after that he encounters, does he feel like an evil spewing out of him, or is it just that he believes highly in his faith that he'll make the right judgment? when
I
when
think
he does
I
it.
think that's the case. Yeah. Certainly, he has a job to do,
Hmm.
and he has no qualms in doing the job. But yeah, there's a sense throughout the books too that it's um, a good versus evil type of thing.
Okay, so do you have like folks that work under you in the police department? You're being a detective.
Sort of yes and no. I mean, I don't have anybody that I supervise, but
Hmm.
there's young guys that patrol guys and stuff that come in and ask questions and
Do
kind of
you
shepherd
leave the
along.
books out and say, hey, you know, there you go.
Yeah, I try not to push the book stuff too much
Oh,
at
I
work. I
know.
just
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, they got to be proud of you. I mean, not only,
yeah,
I mean, it's not an 8 to 5 job, right? I mean, it's demanding and you're taking the time to write
yeah,
and write about things that some of them could have encountered or will encounter.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. When, so when do you find time to write? I mean, holy cow, that's got to be something that's, time is precious.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's pretty much like everybody else. You know, you find time to carve out
Hmm.
to write, and it it's difficult sometimes, but I've always told myself, uh, whether I have the time to write or not, I will not sacrifice the family for
Yep.
for writing. So,
Yep. Yep.
and like everybody else, we'll find a way to make it work. So, and we do.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have a part-time job as a bus monitor on a special education bus.
Okay.
So we get a little break between elementary and junior high school. So I'll sit there and I'll write. I'll flip the computer out and type away, just hoping to put something down, and then
Yeah.
later on, but in the break, do more because I try to get enough so many words a day to be able to get the book out, even though there's no schedule that I'm on. I put it on myself, my onus to myself. I want the book done by a certain date
Right.
to be able to, get it out when I want to get it out. So
Yep.
what? So you wrote your first couple, and then
Hmm.
you went more into what you're writing now. Was there a reason for that, and why'd you stop like in the middle, and then start moving to the other genre
Right.
almost?
Well, the first two were independently published. So, I mean, my goal as a writer has always been to be traditionally published.
Hmm.
So, you know, I on some good advice and just, common sense would tell you
Hmm.
an agent's not going to pick you up halfway through a series. So that's why I
Hmm.
decided to write another, um, to start another series and have it
Hmm.
be. I also, when I started writing, I also kind of thought it'd be cool someday to write more of a police kind of
Oh yeah.
detective novel.
Hmm.
So I kind of tucked that away in the back of my mind, and then here recently, a year or so ago, I started writing that one, and that one's ready to go, and just waiting on the right agent to come along.
Did it
Uh,
feel like it just kind of flowed out of you? There wasn't, once you started writing, it was like, oh, okay. Like for example, I've written 2 books in a series. Started writing the third, got about halfway, and then I decided to start writing a historical fiction of World War I,
hmm,
and that is just coming along very, very nicely. And then when that's done, then I'm going to take the other one up. The third, like halfway done, I got 40,000 words, just over halfway done almost. So I'll take that up and finish that one as this one's being, edited or published or whatever.
hmm,
But sometimes, it, sometimes it's good to take a break from what you normally write and have your mind do something more creative space, right? I got an idea for a kid's book and all sorts of stuff, but I think sometimes it's good to take a break.
yeah,
That's for
for
sure.
sure, yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, it did sort of um, flow, if you will. There's so much that um, I can relate to this character,
Oh
my main
yeah.
character in this book. So he's without getting too much into details because I don't
Mhm.
really like to talk about details, especially if it's
Oh
not
no.
not out there yet. But
Yeah.
so he's a detective in a unit at the Providence PD up in Rhode Island.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of me in this guy, and
Hmm.
certainly a lot of what I do kind of
Hmm.
comes out through his interactions and stuff like that.
I think in books there's a lot of the author in it, whether it's subliminally or not.
Right.
There's something in there about you, right? I mean,
Right.
I
I
don't,
mean,
how couldn't there be?
yeah, psychologically, there has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way there couldn't be. How can you distance yourself from somebody that far? Maybe a bad actor or something, but the good guy, I mean, or girl, whatever you want to be, or whatever you are, is that's what I think you put yourself into that. So, what's your family think of that? I mean, they got to think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Dad
they
writing a
do.
book.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I mean, if you ask my wife, sometimes when I seem like I'm off in outer space somewhere, when she's talking to me and I'm not, she knows I'm thinking about something
Oh yeah.
story related. Or, but
Just,
yeah, I'm sure
just let
like
him
you.
go. Let him go. He'll be all
Yeah,
right. He'll
he'll
come
come
back in a
back.
second.
Yeah. But I'm sure like you. Um, you mentioned having your laptop, handy all the time.
Yeah.
So I can't really have that at work and stuff like that.
Right.
But there's tons of times where I'll jot down a note, and
Hmm.
so I'll bring them home and I'll have notes. I have notes all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Just it could be a scene, or it just could be a character idea,
Yep.
or just whatever. So the notes eventually end up into the story. Then
Yeah. I've got a folder that probably has 5 or 6 book ideas that I've started and then
yeah,
pulled back from them because I just
yep,
didn't. I have to kind of feel what I'm writing to
yeah,
make it like I don't want to make it seem like I got to get this done, rushed or not feeling the
right,
book per se.
yep.
So you're working. So you're tell us about your first 2 since those are already out. Are they still available?
They're still available. Yeah,
Yes, yes. So
yep,
tell us kind of about the first 2. Folks can go out there at least start reading what you have already written, and when you come out with your next one is published, even though it's a different uh, storyline, they can tell you based on your writing.
yeah. So the first one, it's called The Warrior Spy. Um, it kind of intros Reagan Rainey and that type of thing. So what's happening is he's assigned to the CIA on like a temporary duty
Hmm.
position. Um, and what's happening at the CIA? There's some CIA officers that are mysteriously kind of being killed around the world, and so there's the kind of like the unit inside of the unit at CIA is where Reagan works, and so that unit is tasked with figuring out what's going on, what's happening, why are these officers being killed, and it kind of leads into a larger plot, um, where there's a plot to attack the United States,
Hmm.
and then there's kind of like a more there's kind of a couple parallel things going on, but there's a Russian involved. Um, so then book two is called Artifacts of Conspiracy, and it kind of like dovetails with book one a little bit. Um, Reagan receives this letter at the beginning. Reagan receives this letter from persons unknown.
Hmm.
All he identifies himself as is Moses. So it's like this mysterious letter that arrives at um, a case officer's car
Hmm.
in Portugal, and under mysterious circumstances. And then the letter makes its way back to Langley, and then they uh, essentially. So Reagan's dad worked for the CIA,
Hmm.
and then when Reagan was like 11 years old, he was told that his father was killed on an operation or something like that
Hmm.
overseas. So in this letter that the agency receives, it teases that his dad's still alive.
Oh
So
wow.
then obviously there's this push to figure out whether it's true, like
Oh yeah.
what's the whole idea behind this letter.
Interesting. Interesting. That's a good. I like that plot line.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of curious if he's alive.
Yep. So it's kind of it's a globe-trotting type of
Hmm.
spy thriller, and he has to go figure out who's behind it. Is his
Right.
dad still alive or not? That type of thing.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So, where do you like to write? Like by yourself with music, kids running around? Where what do you find is best for your creativeness?
Yeah. generally speaking, I like to write in my little office. Sometimes I'll put classical music on. Other times,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like, you know, instrumental background music kind of thing. Um, Not to say that I can't write in the
Mm-hmm.
living room with some noise and stuff like that, but sometimes instead of sequestering myself away from the family, I'll sit in the living room and be there just typing away. Whether it's just kind of writing other ideas,
Right.
or later on editing some. But
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a household with three boys, so
I was the youngest of three boys.
I was used to the noise. So I can tune it out when I need to. I mean, obviously, and listening to the police radio, you got to have one ear to the radio, and so you got to be able to. When I'm typing reports, I got to be able to, you know, tune that out to
Right.
some degree, but also
Right.
pay attention as well. But so that's generally where I like to write. Um,
Okay.
yeah, at home.
Yeah. I like to write at home too. Sometimes I go see my daughters or my son. Then I'll take it with me. I try to write a little bit. Like airplane, I found out is, if it's not like bumpy all over, bumping all over the sky, then I can pretty well, flying to DC where my son lives, I knock out, 5, 6 pages during that time of good stuff. So I try to do
Yeah,
that because then I want to spend time with him, and not, be nose deep, deep in the book. That's for sure.
right.
So you wrote your first two. You self-published, evidently,
Yes.
and they're on Amazon or yeah, Amazon
Yes.
or wherever else you can
Yeah.
get a book online.
Yep.
And now you want to go self-publishing. So what have you done to get your name out, or what have you done to be self-published? What has been your process? I mean, did you write an author letter and send in a synopsis and the first chapters or whatever? So what have you done that you could tell other people how to be able to do that process?
Are you talking about self-publishing or
No,
the other?
about traditional.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, doing the query stuff right now. I probably have about 8 or 10 out. Um, so I have one where it's someone requested the full manuscript. Um,
Excellent.
so essentially, from the very beginning, when I started even writing the first two, I started trying to make contact, make friends. It's like life.
Hmm.
You try to make friends, and
Yep.
you find the right people along the way that will help you, and you find other people that are running parallel to you, and
Hmm.
um, you help them, and they help you. So I got to interact with Ryan Steck, the real
Oh
book
yeah.
spy.
Hmm.
So if you'll notice, he blurbed on my my first two. There's a blurb from
Excellent.
him on there. Another couple other guys, Andrews and Wilson.
Hmm.
Just an awesome tandem. I don't know how those guys write, together, write books, but it works for them.
I don't
And
know.
they
Yeah, I've always figured. I heard like one will take one chapter, one will take another, one will take. I'm like,
and
but
then they
there's
switch, and then
yeah,
they switch.
yeah.
Uh, but I don't know how they
Whoa,
do it, but they do it. They do it awesome.
they do a good
So
job at
yeah.
it.
So I got to know those guys a little bit,
Hmm.
and some other people too.
Hmm.
But just number one, it's like anything else. When you're trying to learn something, you look to the guys who do it well. Look to the guys who are the best in their field.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the approach I've taken. Try to learn from how the guys who write well, how they do
Hmm.
it. Um, so I've tried to model myself after guys like that.
Hmm.
As far as like the traditional, trying to become traditionally published. So the
Hmm.
querying thing is, each agent has their own set of submission guidelines. Some want a query letter, and
Hmm.
that's it. Some want a query letter and like the first 5 pages of a manuscript. Some want like more than that. Some want just a synopsis.
Hmm.
So each agent has their own submission guidelines, and so you kind of got to you know look at them
Play
and
by their rules.
exactly, yeah. So
Interesting.
um,
Interesting.
so yeah, that's where I'm at, and it's the waiting game, which
Yes.
obviously it's not fun, but
Hmm.
that's part of paying your dues.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So, what made you become a policeman? Why'd you? I mean,
I think
you
from
look
a
today. I mean, people are. I don't get
yeah,
it. I don't get it. But you
yeah,
know. So, what made you
yeah.
become a policeman?
I think from an early age, I've just kind of always been interested in police work, and obviously, as a kid, watched a lot of the police shows and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So when I went to college, I first majored in chemical engineering, and then I changed it to computer science, and then I played soccer in college, and
Hmm.
one of the kids on the soccer team, his major was criminal justice, and so I kind of got talking to him and realized that hey, there's a major for that in college, and then I changed my major to criminal justice,
Were
and
your parents like, you're killing me, all these credits?
yeah, no, my parents, they've always been supportive, but so then I got to intern with a local city police department,
Hmm.
and once I did that, some of the ride-alongs and stuff, it felt it felt right. So
Right.
then started applying different places,
Hmm.
and that's how I got in. Yep.
Then you went to a police academy or somewhere they got your certification or whatever you
Yeah.
guys have to do. Law
Yeah.
peace officer, I guess.
Yep.
A
So
friend
it's
of
like
mine, his son doing the same thing for City of Garland here in Texas. He had to go through the
okay.
academy and go through all the things and doing
Yep.
ride-alongs and everything. So then you were a policeman in a police car, right?
Yep.
Regular patrol, and
Mm-hmm.
then you moved up to being a detective.
Yes. Yep.
So there's a test for that, evidently.
For our agency, there's not, but I
Okay,
mean, different agencies have it different
okay.
ways. But yeah,
All the crime
um,
shows I've seen, you go, "Oh, I'm studying for the sergeant exam. I'm studying for the detective
yeah.
exam." You
Now
know.
to do sergeant and lieutenant, whatever,
Mm.
that type of thing, there is a test for that. But for detective, for our department, there's no test. It's more like an assignment kind of a thing. But we
Oh,
had to
okay,
do like a 6 month, you know, trial probationary type thing, and then after that, um, became
interesting,
detective. Yeah.
interesting, interesting. Central Pennsylvania, beautiful country.
Yeah.
Are you around Hershey or Somerset or?
We're a little south of there. Yeah. So I'm about an hour and a half west of Philly, and an
Okay,
hour north of Baltimore.
all right.
Um, so yeah,
That's
we get
pretty.
all that highway crisscross of drugs and stuff like that, and so
Well, I know
I'm around
I
York.
40.
Yeah, I'm around the York area. So York's a dangerous little city. So so
Hmm.
we get all the good stuff, but um, we say uh, where I work, we're
Hmm.
busy enough to keep us busy, but we have time enough to investigate things. And
Excellent,
yeah,
excellent. So, do you see yourself writing? You know, more and more, or different genres? If you weren't writing what you're writing, what would you like to write?
I think I'd be writing the same thing.
Really,
Um,
you feel comfortable in it?
Intelligence stuff, yeah, and then
Yeah.
um, police detective stuff. So obviously that's what I've this new series what that is, and it's I'm sure like you start writing one book and it gives you more ideas for
Yes.
not just characters but other ideas for other books, and so I have like uh not every plot worked out, but I have about
Mm-hmm.
three other book ideas for this series. So as I wait for to see how this querying stuff
Mm-hmm.
goes for book one,
Mm-hmm.
I've got book two underway, and so
Interesting.
it's a little bit different than book two, but it's still the same main character and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing some research for the book I'm doing now. I'm reading a lot on World War One. I mean, just it's fascinating. Absolutely fast. I mean, I've always read like World War Two and Vietnam and stuff, but recently, last year or so, I've started getting into World War One, and it's so fascinating to read about that war. And I've read something, I'm like, I didn't know that. I mean, like, some things you just I don't know. It's like, well, I don't know, but I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't know that. So I'm saying, man, that would be a great book.
yeah,
So now I'm like, okay, how can I put just a snippet of something I read and create a book out of it?
yeah,
And I think I got a little plan for it, but I mean, I even marked it in the book. I'm like, okay, I got to come back to this because this is something. Did you do a lot of research for your books, or because you inherently know? Because you want things to to be even in fiction, semi-factual.
Yeah, yeah. No, I do the research, and I think the research is one of the more fun parts
Oh, I love it.
of writing. You learn so much things, so many things that you don't know, or things about places that you
Mm-hmm.
have. Like, there's a ton of places that I would like to go to now, having done some of this research and stuff. But
And one in Portugal. That's on my bucket list. I mean,
oh yeah,
Portugal is one of the places man, that's some place I want to visit.
yeah.
That's definitely.
Um, but yeah, like you sort of indicated, like the more you read, the more ideas that percolate, and whether it's just seeing how other guys write,
Mm-hmm.
or the content, like it just sparks an idea of something else, or an idea to for a character or that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So yeah, it's like the writing and reading go hand in hand, and you know you can't sacrifice the reading just because you're writing.
Yeah,
Um,
I tell people if you're writing, you're learning.
exactly.
It's when you think, well, I'm just writing. I'm just writing something. But no, you're writing something because you just learned something that you didn't know, and now you're putting it into your own words, or you saw something you read. Now you want to write about it.
Right.
So and you never think about that. I take walks in the morning and I do little TikTok, short 30-second like walking author type thing, right? Or marketing a book. That's a whole man. Oh man, that's a whole
Right.
nother thing, right?
Yeah.
But I said, man, when you're writing, you're learning, and then what you write, people are learning. So it makes them maybe want to read more. But now you said Portugal, and like, okay, I've always wanted to go to Portugal. That's
Right.
on my bucket list. So now when somebody reads your book, say, oh, I've been there or I want to go there, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That there's a church there. There's a street. There's a cafe. You know what? You've been there where you can sit there and think about, I'm in the book
Yeah. And
sort
that's
of thing.
that's what's neat sometimes, getting an email from somebody that's in Sweden, or uh, Norway, or there's
Mm-hmm.
other places that I've gotten emails from people, and it's like, wow, that's cool. Like, this person on the other side of the world is emailing about the book,
Mm-hmm.
or just has questions or that type of thing. But yeah, that's neat
Yes.
to interact with people from other places.
So where can everybody get a hold of you? Where can they contact you? I know I think I reached out to you on X. So where can everybody get a hold of you, learn more about you?
Yeah, DonyJBooks.com is my website. DonyJaybooks.com. That's the easiest place as a starting point.
Okay.
But I'm on Facebook and X and Instagram and other places too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, certainly. And I like interacting with people, whether it's on social media or email, or so. Don't hesitate to reach out, and whether it's just to say hi or talk about books or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can always
it's a
talk
good
about books.
community. It's a good
Yeah,
community of writing. Writers are a good community. And I found that
exactly.
very,
You're right.
very
Yep.
different than I'd ever would have thought of.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's amazing. So, Donnie, I want to thank you for what you do for the community. What you devoted your life to, your faith, and then helping your fellow man, because there's some folks that need some help. Some are past it, but some could use a little kick in the rear sometimes, to say the least. Well, thanks, Donnie, and I appreciate it. And you have a Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you very soon. And good luck on your books. We want to know when those books are going to get published.
All right. I'll,
Uh,
I'll I'll be sure to let you know.
I'll have you back on.
All right.
All
Hey,
right.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.